Hi guys, and welcome to The Colorful Gardener. My name is Josh, and today I want to show you a couple things that are growing and blooming in my back garden. If you're new here, go ahead and consider subscribing and liking this video. So guys, I'm a little nervous to show you about what is going on in my back garden because a lot of stuff is new and not as established as my front garden. So behind me is my tropical garden. And as you can see, it is loads of bright foliage and bright flowers. And I'm kind of excited about showing you my ideal version of a jungle garden. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first plant I see right here is Rudbeckia goldstrum. This is a wonderful plant to use in any garden because it is drought tolerant, and also it is a wonderful plant to provide food for your local pollinators. And I love this bright yellow, and it's been blooming for almost 4 weeks now. And so I like it so much that I put in big clumps in the front of this border. So I've got 1, 2, and 3 of these Rudbeckia goldstrum in my garden. It's a wonderful plant. And behind it, you've got Pennisetum, Princess Caroline, wonderful plant. And then right next to it is another stunner plant. It's great for xeriscaping, and if you want bright flash of color, this is Color Guard Yucca, evergreen throughout the year, and you get this wonderful foliage on it. And it's a great plant for any tropical garden. So I've got also behind it, I've got some beautiful bright light cosmos. I just threw some seeds down, and I think they really go well with this tropical garden. They provide lots of flowers for me and for the local pollinators. Love it. It's a great plant. Behind it also I have Canna tropicana, and growing up beside it is Texas star hibiscus. And behind that is orange lantana, great plant for dry conditions or to provide any tropical garden. This cool plant is not hardy at all for me. This is Acamia blanciana, and the hotter it gets, the brighter the foliage gets as well. It can't take my cold winters, so I'll bring it as a house plant and then put it back out in the summertime for a wonderful plant in this jungle garden. So as we go down, you're gonna see lots of brightly colored foliage, so like cannas, elephant ears. This one's called Hawaiian Eye. Love it. It's not very flashy, but as you see the light go through this foliage, it's almost like a reddish tinge to it, and I love that effect. I've got some beautiful purple cannas in the back that are very striking, and the hummingbirds love them. They have been hanging out in this area. I've been seeing them chase each other around in this back garden. I think the hummingbirds really enjoy this garden the most, actually more than the front garden, because there's salvias and lantanas and cannas for them to enjoy. And it makes me happy to see that they're coming back over here and making nests every year and visiting my garden. So I know I'm doing something right. More Rudbeckia goldstrum, and in the back, I'm gonna just walk over here real quick. I have a beautiful black Thai banana that's growing, and I love this. It's very fast growing, and as it gets bigger, the stem is gonna turn black and really mature, and it's gonna look really striking against this beautiful lime green conifer. And next to it is a Senna alata. This is actually an annual. It will die to the ground, and I save the seeds and I'll regrow it. I love these compounded leaves. They're so different, and they give such a wonderful tropical look to this back garden. There's a lot of young plants growing in here, so you can't see all of it, but I've got a tetrapanax here, I've got papyrus growing here. There's a lot of things that are still maturing, and they're not full size yet, but once they do, this is going to look like a really big, lush tropical garden. So when I was saying I don't use whites and pinks, I was saying I use blues and yellows and reds and purples. This is actually a volunteer cleome, and I'm gonna probably take it out. It is very beautiful, but it's just not the right color. Whenever you're building a themed garden, you wanna stick to the theme. If you go off just a little bit, it can throw off your garden. So try to stick with your colors you want to choose in your garden, and you will be really happy in the long run. So this is my jungle garden. Like I said, there's lots of gaps, things that are still growing, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And if we move down to my left, there is the Xeric garden, And we've got beautiful plants that come from the Southwest America, like agave americana, opuntias and yuccas and mangaves. This is mangave mocha mako, if I'm saying it right, mocha mako. But it's got a beautiful purple foliage. This is the first year I've been put in the ground, so I'm gonna see how well it does. With a lot of these plants, since I have heavy red clay, it's gonna take in that water, and in the wintertime, these plants are not gonna enjoy that. So I have to keep an eye on them, and I'm gonna probably put some protective cloth on them to make sure they survive the winter. Next to it is Artemisia lutevincina. I think I'm saying that right. But it's a wonderful plant. I love the foliage. It's very fine. It goes really well with these big, fat foliage of the opuntias and other cactus plants. And then below we have Spiralcia. And then we've got Dickia grape jelly and Dickia cherry coke. Wonderful plants. These are terrestrial bromeliads. Similar to Academia blanchiana, but these love dry conditions and have fun foliage that is nice purple. Behind it, I've got Erythrina bidwillii, first year in the ground, and hopefully next year I'll get loads of red flowers that hummingbirds love. It's a great shrub, and it's also great for xeriscaping. If you want some color, think about Erythrina bidwillii. More opuntias. I've got a cholla cactus here, actually picked up from Lowe's, and this is about 3 years worth of growth, and I'm actually really happy. And it's lived outside, and like I said, I'm in zone 8A, zone 7B. I think with having stones around the base, that really increases their chances of survival here. Also, this garden is on a slope, and I think it's really helped with a lot of plants growing here. And this is newer than the jungle garden. I actually just put this in last year, and so these are really young plants. And I'm gonna be interested to see how this garden changes throughout the year. It's gonna get a lot bigger and fuller, but that's the exciting part, because you're gonna see this garden evolve. And more xeric plants over here, more opuntias. I keep calling them opentunias, but it's really opuntias. And this is also Centauri gymnocarpa. This is a wonderful evergreen plant. And I got this from Annie's Annuals, and I've made some cuttings from it and put them around the landscape. And the only place that they've actually survived is here in the xeric garden, because everywhere else, it just gets too cold, the soil gets too cold. And here, I think that with the rocks around the base, it keeps it hot enough from dying. And I love this plant. Also very similar to Artemisia, but not an Artemisia. It's still in the Asteraceae family, which Artemisia is as well. But I love this foliage. It's very different from Artemisia, and it turns into a great big bush. So we've got more Dickia cherry coke here, more opuntias. This is a native opuntia called Opuntia hemophosia, if I'm saying that right, but it has beautiful yellow flowers in the springtime. And it's native to the southeast, and I started this from one cutting, and I've managed to make 3 big groupings of it. It's a beautiful plant for a low-growing area, and actually the way it grows is on the sides of cliffs, and it'll hang down the side of it. That's how they have evolved to adapt into their environment. So more yuccas, and that's pretty much it. This is the xeric garden. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I think it can stand up really well to the tropical garden. I think it'll fit in nicely. I think if this was next to a herbaceous border, it'd be quite odd, but versus a tropical garden, I think it flows much more easier than a herbaceous border or a woodland garden. And I have full sun back here, so they get baked all through the day, and they love it. These plants absolutely love the baking heat. And so I'm gonna show you the last part of the back garden. It is the vegetable garden. Now, I'll be honest, I like vegetables, but not as much as I love my flowers. So, I grow vegetables. I grow vegetables that I love growing, so I grow tomatoes and lettuce and things like that. I actually let my friend take over this garden and plant what he wants. So there's bush beans, there's carrots, there's wild cosmo that's showing up here and there to invite pollinators over here. We have squash and zucchini growing in these wonderful pink raised beds. How cool is that? Pink raised beds. I have this beautiful Australian yellow lettuce I got from Baker's Creek mixed in with these marigolds. Marigolds are a great way to keep away pests from your garden. More squash and zucchini. I'm excited to see when those will start fruiting. make squash casserole, any kind of type of meal. These are great plants to use in the South because they love baking heat. So more squash, zucchini. And this lovely plant is actually peanuts. I got some seeds from Baker's Creek, and they have done wonderfully well. We grew these last year, and they've done really well. I didn't think peanuts were going to do really well here, but they love this heat, and we get a bumper crop around fall time. So those are fun. We eat those throughout the winter. And then I've got some asparagus growing here as well. And then I've got some tomatoes and squash and zucchini and some more Australian yellow lettuce that I got from Baker's Creek. Over here in the corner, I have green peppers that are loving this heat. I'm getting some nice green peppers here. I've got 2 apple trees and 2 blueberry bushes. But yeah, this is my vegetable garden, and I've been really happy with the way it's turning out. I've got irrigation for them that comes on every now and again for the vegetables. They've really enjoyed that. But yeah, guys, this is my back garden, and I've been really happy the way it's been turning out. It's starting to really fill in and look like a back garden versus just a patch of grass. There was nothing here. It was all grass. In the past 2 years, since the jungle garden, the Xeric garden, the vegetable garden, it's really transformed, and I can't wait to see what this garden is going to turn into and become my little paradise here. A lot of people focus on their gardens in the back and they don't really do much in the front. I did the opposite, where I was gardening in the front first, then in the back. And I'm excited now to see how this back garden is going to turn out and become my little paradise. Yeah, I'm sweating. It is so humid and hot, guys. It is like 95 degrees and humid. So I'm gonna wrap this up. My name is Josh. This is The Colorful Gardener. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video. If you like this video, go ahead and consider subscribing for more gardening tips and tutorials.